Hello?
Welcome.
Anyway.
Wow. Okay, so I know you're all filming this, but I just want you to experience it, okay? So make sure you put your phone away for a moment and just be here in this room that you will only be in one time together in a theatrical experience with these people that you were intimately in a tiny room with for so long. Okay, let me start by saying television is a special thing, I think, because you become a family pretty quickly. And I had the pleasure of being on the same plane with about half of you. And when you saw each other, the joy was literally palpable. So I wonder, did that start right away, or was that fostered in any way?
On the plane?
Yeah, on the plane.
No, it was started right away. We saw each other. We haven't seen, a lot of us who were on that flight yesterday hadn't seen each other in 20 years. And it was a joy to see each other. But I think you were asking about the show.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, it was Southwest, so we were fighting for seats. But once we settled in, I think, then I got the feeling of, oh, I did like this guy. Yeah.
Did you guys know that right away? I mean, you were spending a lot of time together. Was it instant, the feeling of camaraderie, or did that develop over time?
I was nervous about it. And I was surprised it went very well. Actually, seeing you guys was very fun.
You mean when we all first met for the first time?
Thank you, Keri, for the win. Keri.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought we were still on another question. Sorry. Take over, Keri.
No problem. We did all get along, but we were also young, and we all really hung out like friends.
Yeah, there was no drama on the set, actually, right? You'd hear of other sets that had, but not that I remember, not that I know of, was there?
No drama.
Get along, yeah.
No drama.
And I know, like, on my first TV show, I learned a lot of lessons about boundaries and what, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about just about how do you do this and also exist as a human in the real world? Were there things that you learned? Because Felicity was for most of you guys, it was your first big thing that you did for a long time. What were the lessons kind of that you took with you into your next projects?
Well, I can just say I remember my first day on the set. I was a guest star, and I begged and pleaded to be on the show, and JJ and Matt were my best friends. So I'm like, you're not doing this without me, which is essentially what I've done my whole career. But this character was kind of written for me, this crazy idea guy. It's kind of who I am. But I remember bouncing down the stairs. My idea book was stolen. And my first thing is I'm bounding down the stairs. This show hadn't aired yet. So it was like I come down the stairs. I'm like, my idea book, where's my idea book? And JJ comes up to me and he goes, you're on another show right now. And so immediately I realized, okay, I've got to take the cues from these guys. And I learned so much. Just Keri. Keri Russell, everybody. Come on. Keri, can I get on the Americans now that I've done that?
I'll just say, as I was, behind the camera as a producer and director, and sort of a little bit more of the grown-up in the group, but I also was just sort of getting my career started, and the fact that Matt and JJ, who have done nothing since, were these incredibly passionate, energetic guys who their enthusiasm and their warmth was completely empowering to all of us. And one thing I think was really kind of set the tone for the whole show was that JJ and Matt's offices were next door to each other, and one of the writers, Josh Reeves, had put a sign up pointing towards JJ's office, make it funny, pointing towards Matt's office, make it emotional. Because those were their seemingly conflicting mandates, however, it really was the marriage of those two things that made the show a beautiful experience behind and in front of the camera.
Yeah, so the comedy element of it, in an hour-long show, you don't usually get that, but I was doing my rewatch in preparation for this and laughing out loud, and I was like, that must have been, you must have done that on purpose. And so you're saying that you did.
Check.
I think Ian brought the drama.
Yeah, I was the serious note on the show. Really grounded character, completely believable, just like me.
Ian, I read about The Voice and how you came to The Voice. Will you tell that story?
When I was growing up in Hell's Kitchen in New York, across the street from where we lived was a YMCA, and there were hookers and drug addicts outside. And my mom was beginning her career in group therapy and social work, and she knew all of these hookers and drug addicts. And one day this guy came over. He was like 6'4", transvestite, came over to our apartment and was like, "Oh, Pauline, I bought heroin again. I just make me flush it down the toilet." And so that's where I got Javier. It was 6'4", transvestite, heroin addict, and it shows.
And Rob, too, I think brought such a nice element of comedy to the show. But what I enjoyed for the 4 seasons was to see you show up as initially just a thorn in Noel's side. And then by the end, you're standing next to him at his wedding. No?
What was that? Wait, you lost me after Thorne and Noel's side. What was it?
I said by the end you were standing beside him at his wedding. So
Yeah, I mean, we had a dysfunctional friendship. I loved him. Richard cared about Noel a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Noel necessarily wanted or needed Richard in his life. But I was there. I was going to be there for him. And I stuck with it. And 4 years later, there he was.
I don't know how many episodes you were supposed to do initially.
Just one.
Just one. And I think, but there was a moment when we were doing a scene, and I remember we were making out in the stacks in the library, and you gave a line delivery that I turned to Keri. I was like, "He's coming back." And do you remember this line? He said, "I'm going to report your." It was the most perfect line delivery. And I don't even know if we got through the rest of the take because we were laughing so hard.
Yeah.
It was great.
No,
it was so great.
That scene, the scene where you're putting up the flyer to sell something that you're illegally have it in your room, and you guys are getting back. You don't remember this. You're getting back together. It's a classic comic game. So it's like they have to fake that they're not getting back together. You have a fight so that you then put the flyer up.
No. That was Three's Company.
I remember a scene because I didn't approve of Felicity, and I remember I didn't approve of you at the beginning, and I remember a scene where like I'm rooming with Noel, and I open the door, I've got like a face mask on. You're talking about just what show are we on? But like I have a face mask on and a robe. I'm like, where have you been? I've been worried sick.
Keri, your first audition, I heard, was not so smooth as smooth as.
Hey.
Did it? Will you share that story?
Well, I think I know. Well, I'm not exactly sure because you have to be on TV. I feel like you have to audition about 8,000 times.
Yes.
So there were many auditions. The first one, I was in a room with, I don't know, it felt like 55 girls.
Sure.
Everyone like sitting in the halls and reading our lines. But then I think the next big one, I tend to be very nervous. And none of you guys know anything about that. And I got really nervous. I like choked in the audition. And I remember JJ and Matt pulled me aside into some copy room. And they were like, JJ was like, what is going on? Like, you can't pull yourself together. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just nervous, I can't do it. And they like made me laugh, and I went back and did it again. I think that's what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, good memory. And originally, Scott, you were cast as Ben, right?
What a shitty show that would have been, huh?
No. But
Yeah.
then they couldn't find, they said, I think JJ said they couldn't find someone as charming and handsome as you to play Noel. So they.
No, I don't know if he said charming and handsome.
That's what he said.
I think I was originally cast as Ben, and for a week I was doing wardrobe fittings and makeup and hair tests as Ben, and they were having a hard time casting Noel. And I think they liked this guy as Ben better. And so they didn't want to fire me. JJ hadn't been a boss for that long. and he was like, can you be Noel? And I love the script so much, and I was so thrilled to be a part of it and to work with JJ and Matt. I would have emptied their garbage cans, and I acquiesced fairly quickly. And I think the show, look, nobody could have played Ben Covington better than Scott Speedman. Sure. I'm sure there are a bunch of guys who could have played Noel better than me, but Scotty killed it. Yeah.
No way. And Scott, I know that you supposedly showed up at your audition, got off a plane, and that your shirt was held together by a safety pin, and that J.J. Abrams said, "We've got our guy."
Sort of true. No, I sent down a videotape that I made with some kid downtown Toronto, and I sent that off doing like love scenes with Felicity. It was a 17-year-old kid working the camera and doing like love scenes together with me, and somehow that worked. But yes, I did show up with some safety pins on my shirt, and that, didn't go so well.
Do you think that you share? You just seem like Ben.
Yeah.
So, I know that
No, it's true. There's not much else I can do, actually. This is about it. We maxed out in 1998.
2002. So you.
I started in 1998.
No, I know.
Nice. Jesus.
Do you think that you feel like you have commonalities with Ben? Like what part of you, I'll say, do you find totally different than Ben?
At that time, not a lot. And I feel like on television, they really do try to write towards you. I was a tortured, brooding 22-year-old at the time, and that worked out.
Yeah.
The show pretty well.
Well, I think it also worked out because you guys showed up as yourselves. Like, it was so authentic, and I know it's acting too, and you're obviously all phenomenal actors, but I had a question about, like, how do you know where the line of vulnerability is? When you show up to a scene and you're essentially, like, it's your real emotion, like, where do you draw the line to protect yourself, or you don't?
I don't think you do.
Yeah.
I think that's what we do every day. I think you go and you are vulnerable and you put yourself. If you draw that line, you're not doing the job. I think you cross that line and put everything you have out there. And if you're afraid of showing too much of yourself, if you're afraid of, go back to acting class. Figure it out.
I will.
Jesus. See you guys. Take care. That was fun.
See you guys.
They're going back to acting class. Oh, dude, if you come back now, it was so great.
Commit.
That's
Greg Grunberg.
I'll just say as a director that that these guys were all incredibly willing to be vulnerable and also very trusting that, because as an actor, you not only have to surrender your emotions, but you have to surrender control of how that thing is going to come together later. And you might feel manipulated when it's edited, like, wait a second, that's not what I did. But these guys were, to a person, very trusting with Matt and JJ and me and all the directors that came through the show, and were really gave their hearts and souls, and that's why you guys are here 20 years later.
Yeah. That's why. Amanda, can we talk about Megan for a minute? Please. So initially, you show up, you're a pop-in situation, you're rude as hell, there's a giant mystery behind you, and then it sort of unfolds, and to the point where at the end, your goodbye, the goodbye that the three of you have, I know it is one of the most moving moments on the show for me, because I just thought that you did that so beautifully. Can you talk a little bit about how you conceived of Megan and
Which are you talking about, at the wedding or in the apartment?
Good question. I'm talking about in the apartment.
Yeah, in the apartment. Yeah, well, because for real, we were saying goodbye. And I remember I was crying my head off one take, and I said to Matt, Reeves was directing, and I said, you can't use that. And he said, okay. I said, I can't. Megan doesn't cry like that. So that was, so it was me trying not to cry, which was more a Megan thing, I think. It was very real. I mean, it was a very emotional, of course I see everybody. It's not like we died, but it, you know, it was it's like summer camp, you know, and it was coming to an end, and it was emotional. So.
Was Megan originally so complicated in your mind? Like,
No.
what was happening at night? You know what I mean?
At night? All kinds of things. We can't get into it. No, I mean, Megan was, JJ called me because I knew him, and he said, hey, you want to do a thing on this pilot? And I was like, yeah. So I came in, and it was one word in the pilot, and I was dressed crazy. And then it just, I don't know why, they just made it bigger and bigger, and it was super fun. And I don't, they're really, the writing is amazing on the show. They took the character and found depth in her, and
I think that we wanted that, though, because of the original portrayal that you know, the Megan that showed up. Like, I was like, I need to know more about her now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, everybody wants to know what was in the box.
Oh, geez, you guys. I don't know. Neither does JJ. If you ask JJ, he'll go, I don't know. It was a device, but I have a theory that it was maybe, because it had to be small enough to fit in the box. So I thought maybe it was a confession to a murder or something. Because her parents see it, right? And they get super upset by what they see in that box. So it has to be something dramatic that's small enough to fit, or it could be a finger. I thought maybe a finger. I don't know. It was like a device, and it was a fun device, and clearly, I wish I had a better answer.
It was a key to the hatch in Lost, is what it was.
A key to the what?
The hatch in Lost.
Oh, yeah.
Elena and Julie. I think a lot of the show focuses on, obviously, Team Ben, Team Noel, but there was like this amazing girlfriend thing that happened early on, and I think it echoes for a lot of us who, in that time of our life, you fall in friend love really fast, and then it's really complicated because everybody's also, there's boys and stuff. But I thought, were you guys aware of that, like the lady friendship strength, and like did that feel? It felt really important to me.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, in the beginning it was we were friends, and then it sort of then I was with Ben, but I didn't know your feelings for him, so it got, and then we got yeah. I mean, right? Do I have the story right? I haven't really watched it in a while. But yeah, I love that about the show. And girl friendships, they are so important.
Yeah.
I felt in school, especially if you're going to school to be a doctor, you've got to have a study partner and you've got to have a workmate. And I think it was really important. And Elena was very, very focused. So it was nice to have someone to work with and to share your issues and problems with. And it was nice to do that with the characters.
Right. And also, your character initially shows up like, I don't need any help. I got this. I've been doing it all my life. Like, I'm not interested. And so
Definitely
they sort of have to all force their way into helping you. Like, let me help you.
Yeah, she definitely had a chip on her shoulder, but she did need help, and she did need a friend.
Right.
And friends. So I think just her being in that environment and raised by her father, single father, it was eventually she realized that she did need love and support from her friends. And you saw that in the characters.
Yeah, and it was so satisfying.
Yeah.
And also you opening yourself up to Tracy and that Donald
Yeah,
Faison.
she had a
You
boyfriend.
just watched
Donald
all this,
Faison.
right? Like you literally just watched the whole show.
Where's Donald?
Clearly.
I want to know.
Donald Faison. It was. Well, she had a lot of boyfriends actually. She dated our teacher.
Everybody did.
You dated the guy who's on Saturday Night Live now. Who was? Yeah, Kenan Thompson. Remember, he wore a fat
God,
suit
yes.
and he hosted karaoke.
Oh yeah.
That's when I did the karaoke. It's good times.
Amy, Julie was originally supposed to be a dancer, I have heard tell. But when they cast you, obviously you have other amazing talents.
Well, I wasn't a dancer. So, but I played guitar and sang, and so they
Beautiful voice. I don't know if
Yes.
you guys
Julie
remember that.
sang.
I was remembering that in the last interview, how beautiful she sang.
I was pre-gaming with the Felicity Soundtrack, which I bought on CD in 1998. Yes, I did. Yeah, and then I had to buy something to put it into my iTunes. It's really annoying. It's really annoying. But anyway, I was listening. How did it come about? Like you did the theme.
I
you
did
were
not.
on the
That's a
soundtrack.
glitch on the thing.
What?
I know, guys.
I always thought that was you oohing.
No, I did not ooh. But somehow there was like a misprint on the CD. But I did Puddle of Grace. You thought I
Yes.
did the theme song? I never knew it was a misprint. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It says that I did it. But I just did Puddle of Grace. I didn't do the theme song.
Well, it was awesome. It's all.
It didn't.
do it, but it was awesome.
JJ did the theme to the show. JJ's done the theme to all of his shows, including Lost, which
JJ
was
did it, and yeah.
Boom. That was the theme. And I'm not kidding. Because he needs the money. So
But he was into the
But-
music. I mean, he was very particular about the music. I mean, he really.
oh yeah, the music was so important to our show. Yeah.
I thought we had really good music.
Yeah.
Really good music.
So, Greg, what is
The
your
soundtrack
favorite?
was amazing.
Oh, sorry.
It had like Peter Gabriel on it and
Yes.
Sarah McLachlan.
That's right.
I loved that soundtrack. It was
It's a great
yeah,
soundtrack.
it's really good.
It still holds up, just like the show. Greg, what was your favorite invention of Sean's? And did it? Were they your real ideas?
No. I save my gems for, I'm not going to give that stuff away.
Yeah. Free.
What did you mention?
Marzipan boxer.
Marzipan Boxer?
my
You guys remember that? Smooth Ace haunts me to this day.
Yes.
And people are constantly talking about that. What else was? Wasn't there like a?
There was
I had
the
a
one- there
headache
was the
device that went through my head.
There was the cereal. Didn't you make a cereal that didn't get?
Oh
used
yeah,
up by
no, the
milk?
cereal where the milk was baked into
Yeah, that's right.
the cereal.
Add water.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite thing that I got to do on the show wasn't really an invention, was the documentary stuff where
Yeah.
I got to actually videotape. And it was so much fun. We had a great time doing it because we had to adjust to it. Remember, you guys had to look into the camera, which as an actor,
We
you
did like a
never
whole
look in the
season
camera.
of that, right?
Yeah, we
I
did.
thought that
really
it
what
just
it-
got a lower budget.
We had a lower budget. We did. We had a lower budget, so we couldn't shoot as much on film. So they invented this documentary subplot where Greg and I would do. I was like your boom guy,
Yep.
and they wanted us to come in and
Oh, yeah.
interview you guys, and they want us to kind of improvise sometimes.
And it was always at the most inopportune moment. We were trying to capture you guys. But I remember the union rules are that an actor, that's a different union. I can't shoot the show. I'm not allowed to shoot the show. I'm an actor.
Right.
So the camera people have to, the camera guys. And I remember Mike May, one of the camera guys, and he's like, no, I'll take over from here. So when we did that, a lot of the times, it was like I was like on the back of a motorcycle with him. Because I was like standing right there in back, trying to have a conversation. You were lucky because you had the boom. You were doing that. It's not the same without the gum. You have to have gum. So good.
Can we talk about Sally for a minute? So Abby
Dear
Jacobson
Sally.
from Broad City is asking this question. She said, just let's talk about Sally. And it wasn't more specific than that. I know the voice, it was voiced by
Janine
Garofalo, which I don't know if a lot of people know. And what did that allow you guys to do with the show? Like the function of that.
Well, it's such a good conceit, right? Because then you get to hear the Felicity's every embarrassing, burning thought, and then there was some episode early on where someone plays it at a party, which is
Halloween party. Yeah,
that sounds like a good idea. Wow. That's like what everyone wants.
I
the diary read.
When I was rewatching, I was like, and it goes into slow motion. Oh, it's so amazing.
Also, filmically, it was a device for Matt Reeves, who directed the pilot, to be able to take all of the emotions from earlier in the show and then use Keri's voice and music and then, just images to paint this beautiful thing that would bring the show to its emotional climax. And if you look at a show like Grey's Anatomy, they took that device, and I think that this was kind of Matt and JJ almost invented that idea of ending a show that way, which has become a very common way to do these emotional dramas since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and forever now we will have a single, like someone holding a disc man.
Yeah.
And we will remember it. And it will be like opening up a time box to that time. Amazing. Okay, another question that a lot of people want to know is about the last 5 episodes. So it feels a little like there are 2 endings. And
Well, there was, because the network canceled us, kind of, and then they were like, just kidding, do a few more.
But I remember they canceled us, put another show on. That show failed miserably the first episode, and they were like, uh-oh, and that's when they called back and said, you guys, we need more episodes from you. I definitely remember that.
The story I remember...
And that show was Roseanne. That's not true at all.
Too soon.
The story I remember was that I remember JJ and Matt saying, well, the show's going to end this year, but they can't tell us if it's this number or this number. So we said, well, she has to graduate. So regardless if you're going to give us the extra 4 episodes or whatever, we're going to make a graduation episode, which you directed, and you did so well.
Yeah.
And so that's what I remember. And then they, last minute, were like, oh, yeah, do a few more. So then.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and Larry, you ended up directing the finale. I directed the faux finale. And I don't know why, but I've blocked out what happened after that. I know there was a time travel. Was there a fire?
Time travel. And there was a fire.
Yes.
Someone
Spoiler
died?
alert,
Yeah,
you died.
I died.
Died.
You died. Yes, and then you were alive again.
That's right.
And people want to know why Elena was alive.
Wait, Felicity
at
goes
the
to
wedding.
talk to some guy who then takes us back in time, right?
Hold on, I
She
died?
wanted to
I'm
know if
sure
she made a
Megan-
mistake.
Is that right?
Died.
If we don't remember it, this isn't a good
You
sign.
weren't there. You were dead.
But all right.
I sort of remember. I remember jokes of like, man, our show would be, higher up on the food chain if like Ben was a warlock or something. Like it was like, because it was the time on the WB where they were doing that kind of thing. So I think when they canceled then brought back, it was like, okay, really? Okay, good. We'll give you time travel or something like that. Because it wasn't our show. It was a different show.
I loved it.
And there you go.
I thought it was so clever. I mean, they had ended the show. The show was done. So they're like, come back. What are you going to do? Show Felicity, like, after college, and now she's got an apartment off campus at Berkeley or whatever. Who wants to see that? So I thought it was a really fun thing. She was questioning if she made the right decision, picking Ben, because Ben turned out to be kind of a turd. And just saying. And so then she got to go back, like everybody was wondering. I thought it was a great, really clever, I know people didn't like it, but I liked it. She got to go back and like make a different choice and see what would happen. And I thought it was great. They shot it all different, like in sepia, so it had that tinge of like, this is not quite reality. And
It all makes sense to me now. Like she chose Ben because I died.
No.
Like Noel wasn't even a choice. She had no options.
There was no one else.
No, she goes back
that's
to the time you guys have sex on the roof. And she wakes up, and instead of coming down and saying, oh, no, I'm with Ben, right? She says, I'm with Noel, right? And you go, I'm picking Noel.
I don't.
Am I wrong? You guys have seen this, right?
For everything, because I'm confused.
And I love that she got to be funny. Keri got to be really funny and like weird in those episodes, going, I don't know what's going on, and trying to convince everybody.
Mandy making this up.
I would remember having sex on the roof.
You had sex with her on the roof.
You did. You had sex on the roof.
You guys have sex on the roof. Oh,
I have.
If you remember, it must have
I do.
happened.
I had.
so many sex scenes.
No,
you
I
can't
have. I have
remember.
personal tape of it.
I'm gonna need
Am
that
I wrong?
back.
Do they have sex on the roof? Thank you.
Oh, you're talking about on the show.
What do you guys know?
I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about something
Scott
else.
has so many sex scenes on Scandal that he can't remember from one to the next. What's going on? Yeah, I thought it was real. I loved it.
I loved it too, apparently.
Apparently. No, but you had sex with her anyway. Even not in the flashback. Didn't you guys have sex? Ah, shit.
Was there a movie playing as they were having sex? Was there a movie up
That
there?
wasn't me.
That was Scott.
That
Other
was
Scott.
me, man.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Sorry, man.
That means we're getting old.
I should have known
don't
that,
know.
buddy. I should have known that.
Yeah, got it. I got it. Everybody settle down.
You know what I do remember, and I told the story earlier. I
Yes.
remember the very last episode, the
Ooh, yes.
finale at Noel's wedding, and you guys got to see at the very end. The last shot is Greg giving a toast to the group, and it was I think it was Sarah McLachlan. I Will Remember You was playing over it, and it was this beautiful heart-warming moment for everybody to sort of wrapping up the series. But what you didn't see, and I'd love to find the tape somewhere without that song over it, is Greg getting up there, and what he was saying to us was basically a love letter to the cast. You know, thank you guys. It's been the best 4 years of my life. And he singled each one of us out. And if you go back and watch it, even with that damn song over it, you can see how emotional each one of us is getting to what he's saying, and it really worked for the moment. And it was that's what I remember about the last 5 episodes.
Selfishly, like I got to do that. Like we all had that in our head, and suddenly I found myself. You remember the end of Diner when they're all just listening to the toast, and it's just such a great, beautiful shot of all. You don't remember? There's a movie called Diner.
Great.
Back when you saw movies in theaters like this. No, well, easy. But it was beautiful, and they just gave me the mic and said, just say whatever you want about, and all of a sudden it hit me that this is something that we're going to look back on in 20 years and look so fondly at and think that this is really special. And I had no idea. That was my first thing. I didn't know that I would never, ever have that experience again. I mean, this was really, really special. This felt, it's like when you go to college, you're all in that situation together and you lean on each other. And that's exactly what this felt like. We were all so young. I mean, some of us were older. But for me also, you were talking earlier, sorry to go off on a tangent, but this is important, is that, you want to give everything you possibly can. And
You walked away, I remember.
I walked away, yeah. But sometimes you do that and you don't get that back from another actor. You'll have that. You guys play the romantic leads more than I do, but I've had that opportunity a few times. This one, oh my God! I got to tell you guys, no, I mean we knew each other before, and then all of a sudden I read in the script, it's like you guys start kissing, and I was like, yes, please. And
Married.
But when you look into another actor's eyes, and yeah.
Sounded so wrong.
Oh no. Oh no. We went for tacos yesterday. I said the same thing. I was like, yes, please. Torchies tacos. Yeah. Come on. But anyway,
go ahead.
I was just saying, sometimes you don't get that back. And with the scenes that we had to do, the tough scenes and stuff, you're amazing. And it was just such a pleasure to work with you. And I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too.
I just wanted to add one thing about the last moment that Scott was talking about, and it's really a testament to like the sort of how the magic of the show worked, which is that Greg did this beautiful toast. We had these incredible reactions. I'm in the editing room putting it together, and the scene's playing beautifully. Matt and JJ come in and look at it, and they're like, yeah, it's beautiful, but it just needs one, I don't know what, something, it's not quite, not sure. And then Matt came up with this idea to just put that image in from the pilot of Keri turning around in slow motion from when she saw Ben at the graduation, and it just was the perfect touch on it, that Matt and JJ have such a nuanced sense of how to deliver emotion in an honest, authentic way, and that was a perfect illustration of it.
All right, I have a couple more questions. I have no idea what time it is. We can stay here all day. No, you guys have flights. Okay. Keri, your Felicity struggled through the series with wanting to be a doctor, wanting to be an artist. Do you connect to that aspect of it? Because I think we all know you as an incredibly technically savvy actor, as well as, you know, the creative side. I mean, you can deliver. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if that was something that you connected with. Have you always known that you wanted to be an actor? Are there parts of it that are more exciting than others? I don't know. What do you think?
You asked me a lot of things at once.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I've never done this before.
I guess the thing I would like to answer to your question is what she struggled with. And to me, the beauty of the show was always this really simple idea that I feel is very relatable. Just this kind of romantic idea about, it doesn't have to be when you're young, but it's a lot of times when you're at that age, when you're young, of this chance to change your life completely. And I feel like everyone at some point can look back at this moment and think, I just wish I would have chosen him, or I wish I would have taken that chance and done that. And I think that's what they grabbed so well. And I think that was the sweetness and the beauty and the truth kind of the show. And that's what we got to live out through Felicity, kind of. And because she took the risk. Like, she did it, and we watched her, she jumped. And so that's what I felt was the strength, like the core story of the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was all the hair.
Okay. I didn't ask about the hair. He said, when would the hair come up, right? You guys made a bet beforehand. I don't want to ask the same questions. I know it was a big deal. I know you were excited about it because it's a cool thing. My best friend in college had that haircut, and when I watch it, I almost see her, and that's kind of weird because it's TMI, you know. But how did you practically shoot it? Did you go away, get the haircut? Like, did you film you getting the haircut? Was it your real hair person cutting it in the scene?
The way it all totally went down was they were wrapping up the first season, and in the hair and makeup trailer wraps up, and the hair people were putting away everything that they had into boxes, and there was a little boy's wig. Why there was a little boy's wig, I have no idea. And I
was having a hair issue at the time, so I just would have them.
And we put it on me at like 2 a.m. as a joke, and we were like, "Oh, it looks cute." And we took a Polaroid, and over the summer we thought it'd be really funny to send to JJ and Matt and say, "Look, oh, I cut my hair. I hope you like it. Ha ha ha." Totally as a joke. And then I was with my girlfriends, like at some lake, and I got this phone call. It said someone named JJ Abrams wants to get you on the phone, and he said, "Hey, we got your picture. No laughing, no nothing. Would you really cut your hair?" And I was like, "I guess." And they said, it's such a typical college girl story. You know, the guy breaks up with her, and then she goes and cuts her hair, and it looks really bad, and like whatever. And I loved it. I thought that was such a good storyline. And the thing that was so surprising to me, I guess, about the reaction, although the hair was very big, but was like Felicity was never a fashion plate anyway. Like, it wasn't like I was wearing cool clothes or had beautiful makeup. You know, I was wearing baggy clothes, and so I didn't know that everyone cared so much about the way I looked.
Phoebe.
Yeah. It felt a little bit.
cares.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I love that you didn't have, like, so many women, girls, have way too much vanity to cut their hair. They're so identified by their hair. So many women, and myself included. And she was just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's cut it. Which I think is such a testament to her as an actor and as a person.
Thanks, Mandy. But to answer your question, we shot that scene probably about 4 a.m. on a Friday, and the hair girl actually, it's in slow motion, her cutting my hair, like snipping it, and then that a few hours later, I went to some hair salon and someone cut the rest of it off. And you had to give a really, when you saw me, you were like, it looks great.
I remember practicing because I knew I was going to see you that day. Oh, it looks so good. And I failed miserably. Yeah.
I thought it did look great. It was just different, obviously.
It wasn't the best, but it was so good for the character. Like, it didn't matter. It was so fun for the character.
Absolutely. I think because people love your hair. I don't know if you're aware of this, but several people were like, touch her hair. I was like, okay, that's weird. That's weird. I'll try. But it was almost like we were watching like Samson like lose his power or something. But again, for the show, amazing. Like, and as a young woman, like watching someone take a risk like that, like I'm doing whatever the fuck I want. That felt really good, I have to say. All right. Let me ask. We're gonna jump into audience questions in a minute. So prep yourselves, because the Austin fans, the television fans, are the best, and they have so many good, smart questions. So don't fail me. But I wanted to just quickly ask down the panel. Does anybody have like a story from their real life that they would mind sharing about something really dumb that you did for love? Like, initially, Felicity moves across the country, and we think, like, she takes this huge risk, and it's not really about Ben, or maybe it is, but it's sort of about, breaking the rules and trying to be a new person. So does anybody have a story that they would feel comfortable sharing about something that, like a risk that they took in their life?
No. No way.
No, negative? It's okay. This is like a therapy session.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Robbie?
The thing is, I've been married for a very long time, so my risky romance stories are in high school.
That works.
So at prom, I really took a risk, and I asked a girl to prom with me who wasn't my girlfriend, and I didn't know if she liked me like that. And she said yes. But she wasn't with my group of friends. They're all going to like the place for dinner. They're having like a whole night. So we did our own thing. I really felt like I was taking a risk because I was going out with my buddies and their dates. I took this other girl from the other side of the tracks. Really, it was a magical night. Prom. I live on the edge.
I see that, and I respect it. Anybody else? How about, okay, let me loosen it up a little. How about something that you now would tell yourself when you were 18?
I was in college, and there was a girl that I really liked. And the problem that I had all throughout school was like I had a lot of really good friends that were girls, and I liked them more but we were really good friends. And this one girl, I saved up all the money I could, and I took her to this really expensive restaurant, and we were sitting there. This is at San Diego State, and it was just, we were sitting there. It was so awkward. It was like out of a movie. And in the middle of the meal, and we're having a great time. In the middle of the meal, she goes, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "What? Everything okay?" And she goes, "Is this a date?"
Oh, no.
Right? I love your story, but dude, that trumps your story.
I didn't know it was a competition, but that was a great story.
No, so I said, yeah, and it was really awkward when I was like, I had to go to the bathroom, and I never came back. And it was an expensive dinner, and that's not true. No, but it was the most awkward. I did come back. It was the most awkward moment, and it's just those moments that you kind of go, I would look back and go, hey, warning signs, like you're vulnerable, you're young, you don't know better.
I think I would say enjoy the time that you're in. A lot of what I feel about Felicity is that we had a really good show, really good writing, really good people, and I didn't know it at the time, and I just think enjoy and relish in the moment that you have when you're there. You know, you always want to be skinnier or whatever, and just enjoy that. Yeah. But I do have a story that I didn't know if I want to admit it, but I said, let me just go ahead and say it.
Oh, this is going to be good. Come on.
In college, and, my boyfriend didn't have good credit. So I went with him to go look at a car. And because I had better credit, and I was like a kid too, and I signed to get the car. It didn't work out good. Oh my God. But we're still really good friends. I forgave him and I paid for it later. But yeah. No. That's the craziest thing I did for a guy that I liked.
Oh, man.
Who got the car?
I eventually got the car.
That a girl.
There you go.
And I gave it to my brother. But I paid for it when I got Felicity. I had enough money to pay for it, yeah. So.
All right, anybody else want to share advice with their younger selves? I'm looking at you, Speedman.
No.
No.
So much
He
to go
still is
over.
his younger self.
I wouldn't know where to start on
things
that.
I have things I'd like to tell your 18-year-old self.
Yeah, you go ahead. You tell me.
All right, cool. So we, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Austin Television Festival has a track record of resurrecting shows on Netflix. Gilmore Girls. Yeah. Yes. So
Now we're talking.
Like this happens, the magic exists. Is it possible that we would ever have a Felicity movie or something? Like a now.
Come on, guys.
Richard.
I mean,
Hey, I'm in.
Richard.
Bold. That's very bold of you.
Thanks.
Very bold. 15 minutes.
Ironically, I don't think Richard would be in the movie.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
I have to say, I think 100%. You guys want to see that? Who knows? I don't think it would ever. I mean, we're all doing a bunch of other things. But I love this. I mean, I just love this. I wish we should do something else, something different together.
Something new.
That would be odd.
Why don't we do an episode of Gilligan's Island? We'll just be characters on Gilligan's Island. I think we'll be the Harlem Globetrotters.
Totally.
And then you guys choose whoever you want to be, and then we'll just do that. And I think that would satisfy everyone.
That's great.
Yeah. No.
I think that'd be awesome. There are 3 main people we haven't heard from on this question that I think.
Yeah, they're being really quiet over there. I don't.
I have to say, I was interviewed yesterday, and they asked me about a reboot, and I said, don't do a reboot. I feel that the show was so specific to the characters in that time of their lives that to do it again, and I said this yesterday, would be an injustice to the show that we all made and we all love. Now, having said that, when I said that yesterday, I wasn't sitting up on a stage with these. No, but I mean that genuinely, looking at these faces and seeing that little clip you guys saw and sort of feeling some of the emotions reminiscing about that, I would kind of love to work with you guys again. I would love the opportunity to find out what happened to Richard, to Javier, to Julie, to Elena, I would,
happened on the roof. We'd have to figure out what happened on the roof.
I still don't think we had sex on that roof.
I don't
care what
that.
they say.
You did, right?
But I would. I don't know how it would work. I don't know what the story would be, but I would.
I think
love that opportunity.
I think Ben would reopen his Cobra Kai dojo. Oh no, different show. That's Karate Kid. I don't know how it would work. I don't know.
I don't either, but I
JJ
would
and
love.
Matt were-
There's a way to make it work, for sure.
I'd love
There's
to
a way
get the
to
chance
do
it
it
again.
as adults to see where we are now. There's a way to do it.
You
have to do it on film, though.
You forget. I don't know, all those emotions that I had when I was 25 and 26 shooting this show are sort of back, and I've missed you guys.
All right, well, with that, Let's open it up for some audience questions, if that's cool with you guys. So lights are up. People are lining up. It's a big crowd.
Derek.
How do I do this? Do I just choose either or, back and forth, ping pong city? Okay, we'll start with the woman in the Felicity t-shirt.
Yo, look at that.
Woo! All right.
Amy,
Water break, water break.
Just getting water.
We're listening.
Okay.
What's your question?
I do have a question, but sorry.
Thank you.
Straight from Dina DeLuca's.
Dina and DeLuca.
Thank you, Javier.
Thank you. That's for you. Okay, you leave it over here. You want to leave it over here? I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Javier.
Oh
no.
Oh, those are heavy.
Oh.
We get an ambulance.
You okay? You caught the fly. All right, go ahead with your question.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I first wanted to tell all of you that I really admire all of you as a cast. It's really, really rare to see great chemistry shine through between cast members in a drama, and it led to some unforgettable moments in the series. So thank you for that. Scott, Speedman, and Keri, you both worked closely with John Ritter, and I'm curious whether each of you remember anything in particular about your time working with him.
Yeah, he played my dad on the show, and I got to know John pretty well outside of the show, and we had a lot of good times. When he was doing his next show, a mutual friend of ours would go by his set and hang out with him, and we got to spend a lot of time together. So it was obviously a shock when he passed away, but that's the thing I remember about him most.
What about you, Keri?
Same. He was so fun and so into it and excited and yeah.
He was super cool. I mean, to come on a show like this legend coming on the show, he was amazing. Great energy.
His first day on the set, I remember, because a lot of times we'll park or they'll set up what they call like the circus or all the trailers and everything, and it was far away. I think it was the first day, and I saw him walking from there, and I pulled over, and I was like, "Hey, you want to ride?" And I gave him a ride from there to the set, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like Henry Winkler, him, like people like that. I just want to soak up all their experience and just how warm and wonderful they are. And he was so excited to be on our show. I couldn't believe it, and it just showed. He's such a pro, and I'll just never forget that.
Does anyone have any questions for Greg? Feel bad. I feel bad. No.
Yeah.
He was on the show. Just I don't know if you know that, but
I don't know.
Played Sean.
I have answers to a bunch of your questions.
Part of the show.
You.
All right, we'll go here. Yes.
Came
ma'am.
all the way here for this.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Yes.
Woo, hot mic. This is for everybody but Greg.
I told you they bring the
Sorry,
heat here
I'm
in
done.
Austin.
I was in class of '99, so your show changed my life. I actually changed my college plans because of you. And before social media and internet, we actually had yearbooks, and I actually tried to get like a full page of Felicity, but all they would let me do was a small little thing because they were skeptical about the show. So since it's a reunion, what would be like the yearbook superlatives for each other and for your own characters? And if you would like to sign my yearbook, you can.
What would you?
What would be the
Superlatives,
yearbook?
like most likely, least
Most likely
best,
to
worst,
wear a red dress.
for yourself, for your characters.
Yes. You want to go down the line? Or for each other? No, I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh God.
For each other, you could do each.
For us personally or our
The characters.
Well,
Characters.
either one, because y'all, I know there's a lot behind the scenes, and y'all were friends, but give us like the behind the scenes things, or about. I mean, we care
Most
about the
likely
characters.
to
but y'all
take
too.
too long in the bathroom trailer, or some trailer bathroom or something.
Speedman, you'd be most likely to beat me in ping pong.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
I'd be most spazzy. I feel like I'm always the spaz, like homework reminder. Like, guys, lunch is over. We have to get back.
Most likely to, get kicked off a set. You kicked me off a set once, actually, because I was laughing so much. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I did.
I had to go.
Because you were laughing too much?
Yeah.
Giggle, church giggle?
He was laughing in a very needing to be a very emotional moment.
What was the emotional moment?
I don't know, but what I remember that was so sweet is that I don't even remember what the scene was, but I remember that Scott was laughing, and at the time I thought he was just trying to mess up the scene, but that's clearly not what was going on. And I was like, you know what, Scott, just get out of here and come back when you got it together. And Keri rushed over to me and like, you don't understand, he's going through something, and it's not about that. And she was completely defending him to me. And then I went over, okay, Scott, come on, I give him a hug, and then he came on and crushed the scene. So it was like that.
Every day.
All right, Greg.
I don't know, Ian. What's my answer? Most likely to end up on Shark Tank.
Yes. There you go. Amanda?
Most likely, oh geez, you guys, I don't know. Most likely to not want to do it.
Most popular, maybe?
To not want to be a part of a club. Well, I mean, that's Megan, not me. I'm always a joiner. That's me.
Tangi?
I really think you're probably most likely to succeed. Elena was so focused, and she's like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to do this no matter what. I am an A student, a B minus, a B plus was bad for her, so she was definitely going to succeed.
Yeah.
Well, Julie quit college, didn't she? So I'm not
Most
sure.
talented.
Most likely to quit college. She did, though. She did. I don't know if she picked it up later, but she went to Nashville. No, she didn't. I think she went to Europe. That's where I think she went.
Javier would probably be, even though he wasn't a student, probably most likely to remain fabulous.
I feel like Richard would be most likely to be the last one to leave your party. Hey, buddy, everyone else left 2 hours ago, man. I'm going to have to ask you to go.
Awesome. All right, over here, question.
Yes, hello. My name is Rochelle. This is a question for all of the cast members. What's been the best compliment or constructive criticism you've received from anyone during your time in Felicity, and how has that stayed with you in your career?
I just remember people telling me they couldn't hear me or understand what I was saying. So that helped me out a lot to learn that you guys had to hear what I was saying.
I remember doing a scene in the diner. Where were we? The coffee shop. Yeah. And then I remember JJ yelling from the monitor, "Okay, let's go again. This time, act better." Me. And I tried because I was having an off day, clearly.
I said this earlier in another thing, but I didn't know how to do single camera acting very well, with all the cameras and everything, and sizes of the shots and your coverage, their coverage, and it was a scene I was doing with Speedman, and the camera was on him. Maybe there was a piece of my shoulder in it, over my shoulder, and I'm improvising wildly and just going off on some tangent. He's looking at me like, "What are you doing? It's my shot. Shut up!" And I really I had no idea what I was like. Can't the camera see everything? I had no idea. So he taught me.
All right. Wait, let's do it. Does somebody else have an answer?
It was like, for me, it was my first real job, and I didn't know how to be on set. I remember not knowing where my mark was and I learned how to be on set and how to act on film because I would come from theater. But I think the biggest compliment is when I hear mothers that watch with their daughters and they wanted their children to be like Elena and focused in school, and I think that's just a really, really big compliment. So, yeah.
All right, let's do another question. Thank you.
Yowza. I think we know who the question's going to. I know, Greg, you're a very shy person. And the very first episode I saw was a certain episode where you were a little less clothed. And I heard a rumor that you kind of punked the cast, that they didn't know that this was going to happen.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
have one more quick question. I want to know when you're going to recruit Amy Jo to come to the band from TV so I can dance at your next concert.
That would be that. Yeah. All right. You're in. Okay. Good. How about Robbie? Have you guys heard Robbie's
Kind
band?
of far away though.
That's a real band. My band's for charity. His band's, they're amazing. Yeah, that was so. If you don't know, it's the Assless Chaps episode, and I got and I read it, and I was like, it says Assless Chaps. I didn't even know that's what they were called, and apparently they make them in Austin. So I get into my trailer, and they're sitting there, and then the wardrobe person comes in and goes, "Hey, so make sure everything's okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And they said, "You can have underwear on. It's no problem." I'm like, I don't think so. If you're gonna have me do this, and the reaction was me turning around and walking away, and that's the reveal. And you guys, you didn't know, right, that I was. Yeah, you were there. You know, you were there. You were there. You've seen that before with me, so it's not a big deal. But it was one of those things where I walk in and I've got this ridiculous outfit on to please you, and you've gone the other way to please me and stuff. And so it was just it was so great. And when I turn around, that reaction, your laugh, and your reaction, that was all real. That was all real. Same reaction my wife has every night.
Awesome. Thank you for your question. Yes.
So when I was watching your show, I was in high school, so all of the dating and sex and all that stuff was like new and crazy and awkward. And thinking back on some of the drunken one-night stands, or in particular the sexual assault storyline with Julie's character, I'm wondering whether y'all think with the current times, with campus sexual assault being a much more discussed topic, whether it would be treated differently today as opposed to how the show handled it at that time.
Who remembers how the show
I
handled
don't fully remember, but I think it was handled well, wasn't it? Like it was a whole discussion, and it was taken very seriously, and it was a date rape, so it was even confusing as to what actually happened. I thought it was
handled well, but it kind of put you in a.
I think the show
It was
holds
hard.
up
I think it was hard. It seemed to be hard for the writers to let Julie not be sad. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna play the reality of that, you don't just bounce back. So you were kind of. It took a.
I remember her being pretty sad. No?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You didn't
yeah.
bounce back. Like it put a toll. It took a toll on the character in a way that I think was tough. Must have been tough. I mean, I think they handled it well, because it was very much like it would be. You know, you don't just bounce back and like everything's.
No, I think it can really mess with you for a
Yeah,
long
I think
time
it messed with
afterwards.
Julie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Larry, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say that 20 years later, I think you can look at this show, and I think it's still it holds up today, and Me Too, and all of the different conversations we're having about sexuality and gender, and you know, obviously it was 20 years ago, but I think the sensitivity and the point of view of the show is still stands up. It's not like, ooh, that was a little insensitive given today's context. My memory serves, we did okay with all of that.
Thank you. All right, next question.
Hello, my name is Megan. I don't have a box. I'm sorry. My question is, this is related to me binge watching and preparation for this panel. And I know, looking back, obviously it was around the time I was in college too, and you've got rotary dial phones almost, and you've got the cassette player. What do you think the show would do now? How would it be changed if there were like Facebook and cell phones and that kind of thing?
Ian, you did something funny earlier, which in relation to this. Remember the texting?
The what?
The texting. Like if we had, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it would be, hey. Beep. Hey. It would be the same thing. It would just be a lot of haze. And, I don't think, but I think, Amanda, you were saying, even, there's the device of something that you can, in real life, make a phone call to or a text. All of a sudden, there's a knock on your door. It's like, we need to talk or have this conversation. And so I don't really think that anything would change that much.
Maybe Felicity would have a blog. instead of a Sally tape recorder.
Voiceover with her, you would just
or a
probably do it all in
Facebook
voice.
page. Yeah. I mean,
All right, we have time for one more question. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, we're so sad. We're so sad. Okay, yes, go ahead.
You can also do noelcrane.com, right?
Oh, that's right. It still exists.
NoelCrane.com, still up.
Yes.
Last time I
What's
checked.
on the site? What is
I
it?
checked yesterday. It's
I
still
think
up.
the same shit that was on there before.
It's crazy.
Someone's been paying that web server for 20 years now. Yeah.
What's your
my
question?
for Scott Speedman. So when we see you again on TV, will you be needing a doctor or will you be a doctor?
Needing a doctor? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Probably, to be honest with you, neither. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to wait a little bit, couple years. I'll find something to do. But I'm not going back to Animal Kingdom, and well, I died. And then, no, it came out. And then Grey's Anatomy, I don't know, probably not. Sorry. Not exactly cheery, I know, but probably not.
Nice meeting everyone.
All right, you guys, thank you. What's that? Do one more? Okay, one more.
One more.
Okay.
Ooh, watch out.
Okay. As this show was a time capsule, and I know the whole lyric to the Sarah McLachlan when Megan explained to Ben what album it was when she knew Felicity liked it. What was your favorite time capsule item or thing from the show, like the sweaters or the CD players or the Sarah McLachlan CDs, that you look back fondly on and warmly?
I mean, this wasn't really on the show, featured on the show, but for me in personal real life, there was a painting on the set that is so great. I think it's from the 40s, and oh my God, I loved it. What was the painting? It's I don't even know. It's like a sort of a lagoon, and there's like a guy in the boat, and it's beautiful. It's like a watercolor, literally from the 40s. They took it from the what's
The set.
Thank you.
Deck.
Prop department for Disney, and the props girl and I were friends. And around Christmas, I came to my trailer. It was in my trailer. This painting, and it's in my kitchen now. I love it so much. It's really old and so cool, and that's my personal time capsule.
And that's why we steal things from sets.
I know. It's so bad. You can't take stuff from Disney props. I mean, but
No way.
Do you have anything from the show? Did you take anything?
I was responsible for. There was a painting, but it's a license plates. It was license plates, and it was a coffee cup, and it was in the loft. There's an artist named Michael Kalish, and he's a friend, and I got that to be put. I asked JJ, can we put this on and give him some exposure? He's now a huge artist, but of course I bought that from him. I'm like, I have to have that, so I have that at home in my kitchen.
I have, I got the prop from the prop department gave me, it's so stupid, but I still have it in my office, but it's like me making a goofy face, and it says Free Pizza Fridays. I still have that in my office.
All right, we have to wrap this up. I'm so sorry. Will you blog about your other questions, answers, if you had them, please? We all want to know. Thanks so much. You guys were amazing. This is the cast of Felicity.
Thank you.